Ladies and gentlemen, another month has gone by, and you know what that means. We've got ourselves another Whimpering Wastes reset. We're just gonna go ahead, take a look at everything that the new Infinite Torrents is gonna have to offer. Firstly, starting off with those tokens, and then take a look at what the experience is like using a variety of teams. For our token overview, our first new one is going to be called Whispers from Dim Abyss. This is going to grant you a 25% fusion damage bonus, and casting Resonance Liberation is going to recover 2 points of energy. Each Resonator can hold up to 2 points of energy. And when they deal Resonance Liberation damage, 1 point of energy is consumed to use an AoE attack, dealing 1500% of fusion damage to nearby targets in total. This effect can be triggered up to once every 2 seconds. Okay, so first things first, it's pretty clear that every single unit in the game is actually going to be able to activate this, even if they're not fusion, because of 2 parts. A, everyone is going to be able to deal this 1500% fusion damage attack, and everyone's going to gain a 25% fusion damage bonus just from existing. Lupa, on the other hand, is probably going to be the only fusion unit that can actually activate this twice across their rotation, but you're still going to have other units, right? Like your Zhang Li Yaos, your Calcharos, who will be able to activate this multiple times too. So even if you're not really using like a fusion unit, you should be able to give this a spin and still get some decent results out of it. We might actually try a Zhang Li Yao team with this one, but of course, we'll be making sure to use Lupa as well. The next token that we're going to have available is actually the same arrow erosion one from last time. When a Resonator inflicts arrow erosion on enemies, the active Resonator in the team gains 40% arrow damage bonus for 15 seconds up to 3 times. So a very, very consistent one over here that we've seen in the last reset. It wasn't crazy overpowered, but it did make the unit still feel relatively strong, so I don't think there are any problems with it. And then we're gonna have the Gaze that pierces through time. Each time dealing coordinated attack damage increases basic attack damage of all Resonators in the team by 12%, stacking up to 10 times for 30 seconds. This is going to be a really, really, really interesting one for people to work with, because it synergizes with a couple of different characters. So the first one is going to be, of course, Cantarella, because she does basic attack damage, also has coordinated attacks, but of course, it's also going to have synergy with units like Camellia and a unit like Verena, who comes with her own coordinated attacks on her liberation. You're probably going to find a lot of success using a team like, well, this one. In this version of Whimpering Wastes, using that lineup, this is also one of the most free-to-play friendly teams in the existence of the game. You'll have the basic attack amp from Sanhua. You'll also have, of course, the basic attack damage dealer and the coordinated attacks to activate something like this. Another team is, of course, going to be a little bit more strange, but you'll probably still be able to get some use out of it. It's just replacing Camellia in here with maybe like a Havoc Rover potentially, or of course, an Encore as well, or maybe even a Brant. But yeah, you just got to think about people that are basic attack damage. But I would say the main one that seems to be really interesting is Cantarella, because, well, she'll be able to take a part of every single one that's being offered over here. And so before we get into the trial clears, let's take a look at the environmental report. And this is where, ladies and gentlemen, stuff is going to get a little bit stinky, because what WhiWa seems to be doing is actually alternating between when they give out their environmental reports. Sometimes the WhiWa reset is really good. Damage taken by the enemies is increased by 50%. This environmental reset is crit damage taken by enemies is increased by 60%. And so the multiple is slightly higher, but it requires you to crit to actually deal it. And when we know from looking at the tokens that none of them give crit rate, well, certain supports are going to feel a lot worse than they necessarily need to. And that's a little bit unfortunate, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? This is going to make a lot of builds that people might have feel way worse than they really should in practice. For example, this Camellia only having 69% crit rate, that gives her almost a 1/3 chance to drop her damage by 60%. And this is going to make characters like Shorekeeper feel a lot more valuable than, in my opinion, they really should. And then is really going to punish echo rolls like this across your characters, right? Where you're below like sub 75 survive and stuff like that. And the end result, guys, is it's kind of like a very polarized experience. If you crit, you deal a fuck ton of damage. If you don't crit, you're like, you don't even get close to like clearing a wave that you feel like you should have. It's a little bit unfortunate. I do think like the flat 50% increase is just a better measure that they should be doing all the time. So with that, we've got Whimpering Wastes ready to go on this side. Let's go ahead and try it out with the best in-slot fusion team that currently exists in the game. We're gonna be running Lupa, Brant, and Chang Li, the new premium fusion team. Let's take a look at the investment. Lupa's got some random shit on her. I don't think she's really meant to deal that much damage. Pretty low crit damage. Brant over here has seen better days in terms of investment. And then we'll have Chang Li with the best build out of the bunch. We'll just see how this team works. And on the bottom side, why don't we test out the Camellia, Verena, and the Sanhua team and give that a go. Let me just make sure everybody's got the right gear that they need.
Try to smile more, you say? Like this?
Yeah, we should be good to go.
My blade, your take full.
Tip to me! Is that all? With me!
Same actor?
Together we go.
All right. The outro skills seem to be cycling through okay. The only unfortunate part, right, is the fact that, well, that one guy's over there. Hopefully everything hits.
Take form.
Applaud for me, Ryan!
All right, there we go. That damage is looking quite good. Yeah, that bonus from Lupa is doing quite a bit.
At the helm! Let the flames rise!
And then Brant should nuke as well.
Same actor,
Together we go.
different role.
Feathers and cinnamon.
And Chang Li seems to be doing quite a decent bit of damage.
Bird now.
And unfortunately, right, with some of the lower ping that I am going to be having,
Tip to me!
the enemies will take a bit of extra time to spawn. And this token really seems to like kick up into overdrive when you've got like all of that resonance energy in the first place to actually be able to like cast this shit.
Climax of the show!
Oh yeah. It does seem to be really good. And that's a bit of a trick that you can do with Brant's anchor as well. Yeah, apparently pressing that button is really strong.
My blade yearns. Beckon the divine flame.
Yeah, I would say the team can definitely feel like it's a little bit clunky, at least from what it looked like on my end, because we didn't have enough juice to insta-kill some of the waves. But I think a bigger part of the issue is like the delay in the spawn time. And that's from me having, as you can see over here, 189 ping. That can be a bit of an issue, specifically in Whimpering Wastes. Now let's go ahead and try it out using a bit of a different team comp. And that's gonna be our traditional Camellia one. And of course, we got to get those coordinated attacks going so that
Stay behind me. Frozen
our
blockade.
character gets all of these amazing buffs, right?
Struggle harder! Entertain me! Let's have fun! Crimson Blossom!
Not bad.
Let's have fun!
Stay behind me. Lotus pervade.
Life is in everything!
Stay
You
behind
have a
me.
sprout of budding seeds! Feed my blossoms.
Not bad at all.
Self-deceivers.
The unfortunate part is that I am like slightly missing a couple of the units, and I want to make sure that I'm like hitting everybody, right? And it's Camellia's auto targeting can be like a little bit of an issue at times.
Stay behind me. Like frigid death.
Bask in the sunlight. Bird of a
Stay behind me.
reborn from ancient roots. Don't run. Keep the dance
There we go.
going.
Ooh, and we're missing some crits over here.
Grafting, suffer.
But that is going to happen when we don't have Shorekeeper with this team, because I do believe this Camellia, she's only got about...
Stay behind me. Frozen blockade.
She's only got about, like 68% crit rate.
Luminous energy.
Stay behind me.
Bloom from ashen shell.
Yeah.
Struggle harder.
I don't think we're utilizing the full buff. Potentially not. Yeah, potentially not. I had some placement issues with Camellia during that entire thing. You could definitely assign her in a way better spot, and we still have those ping issues to deal with in terms of mob spawn time. These tokens, some of them do seem a little bit specific. You've got to hit this one 10 times. Let me see how many coordinated attacks Verena even has. One time. Ooh, that's the issue. I don't think Verena actually even applies the stacks in the right way, because one thing that Verena does is that she marks a target, ladies and gentlemen. And when that target dies, the number of attacks stop. And so in WhiWa, when you're blowing up targets that fast, the coordinated attacks go away. And so essentially, we were close to not even having a buff in this second team. After taking our learnings from that first failed run, what we're going to be doing is now trying to optimize and make use of both of the new tokens. With this first team over here, right, running Cantarella, Rosia, and Camellia, and with this bottom team down here actually running that Whispers from Dim Abyss, the new Fusion Liberation activated token, and then running it with the team and having their Liberation 100% and ready to go. And so hopefully the time that it takes for the Concerto side to catch up isn't too long, but we'll just have to see.
Feel the tide pull. Come on out, little critter.
Aerial stunt. Tornado nuclear. Mamma mia. I'll warm up the crowd. Sprout of budding seeds. Grafting, suffer.
All right, Rosia's grouping is doing some fun stuff for us here.
Let's have fun.
Oh my gosh.
Rush forth in fury
Here we go.
into the endless deep. Come on out, little critter.
Aerial stunt. Mamma mia. Avanti. Improv. Performance. I'll warm up the crowd. Sprout of budding seeds. Don't run. Keep the dance going.
All right, they're all laying down. Perfect.
It's getting fun. Crimson Blossom. Let's have fun.
Take a breath, and right here, engulfed
Here we go.
by sea's venom. Caress it. Come on out, little critter.
Aerial stunt. Up we go, Caro. Mamma mia. Avanti.
I'm not gonna lie, this looks so shit, it's unbelievable.
I'll warm up the
I
crowd.
have never seen a team look this bad before. This team feels actually legitimately terrible.
Entertain me.
Yeah, maybe the token is just bad.
Grafting, suffer.
Yeah, no, maybe it's just a poorly designed I'm mind blown. I'm mind blown, to be honest. Maybe you're just not meant to use it on the first side. Holy. Maybe the fusion side will do better on the second half. Maybe the fusion side will do enough to carry.
With me, triumph at the staircase! Die, evil! Glory is upon us! Face me, coward!
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but like her concerto gain is like nerfed.
Let the flames rise!
Yeah, in the TOA, that shit is spawning like way faster. Maybe it's a ping issue.
Aim actor,
Together we vanish.
different role.
Mind's eye. Who's
All
the
right, this
caged
team looks like it's
bird
doing a
now?
lot better.
The fight is on!
And we don't even get our pack hunt because of the crazy delays her rotation had. All right. And it looks way faster this time around.
Light.
I don't know what that was. It seemed like her rotation was legitimately bugged.
Aim actor,
Together we
different
vanish.
role.
Who's the caged bird now?
Take full.
Tip of me! Triumph at the staircase!
Yeah, maybe it's like all the dogs are just like scattering like crazy. But one thing I'm noticing in WhiWa is that it can be a little bit hard to like actually get Lupa's pack hunt. Because you kind of want to like wait a little bit for certain enemies to like spawn and stuff.
Different role.
And in that duration of time, your pack hunt can like actually expire.
Clear as the blaze. My blade yearns.
It can actually expire, but that team definitely feels a lot better in the second half. I gotta say, whatever was going on with that Cantarella team at the start, it feels so bad on that first half, it's almost unbelievable. Okay, Cantarella doesn't have the craziest crit rate ever, but it's not like these characters are like half built and just like comedy. It's just that it's shocking how bad that was. Because mainly, right, Camellia is supposed to be the main damage dealer on that team. If Cantarella is the only character that can use this, and it's only usable on the second side, where I guess the Havoc resistant enemies aren't there, which is what some people are saying, well, this one's only usable on the second side too. And so, yeah, you have two tokens that are only usable on the second side, which feels awful, if we're frankly being honest. Let's do a bit of a reevaluation of the tokens after that past run. I think that the Breeze from Faraway Shores is still going to be perfectly reliable in your teams that actually do have arrow erosion characters, but this buff over here, it kind of really sucks on Verena. So the way that I would view the ordering of these tokens actually is on this side, try to actually run the fusion team and apply it with the Whispers from Dim Abyss buff. The issue with this token is that if you're not starting out your run with the Residence Liberation and you gotta build up energy to get this thing going, it's rough as hell. Because your entire first rotation, your first clear, essentially is just almost tokenless. Because all you have is 25% fusion damage bonus until you use that first liberation. And if you don't have it available because you're running the team on the Concerto side up here and you don't have your liberation yet, this token is really gonna suffer. Similarly, unless you have Cantarella, this token might actually just not be worth it because Cantarella is the only character that scales off basic attack damage and then also has like the nice bonus, right, of 21 coordinated attacks that persist after the target is dead. You might be able to run like some some sort of team like this, maybe this is like the idea behind this, but then you also have to use this team down here because, well, Cantarella's Liberation is where the coordinated attacks come from. And so that's probably where the optimal performance is going to be. We already tried out the Fusion team comp. I think it didn't even have a bonus for the first part. Let's go ahead and see what we can do over here for, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, after a further review and after doing some test runs, these tokens kind of suck ass, bro. The only way you have access to coordinated attacks in a character's kit that don't expire when the enemy dies, which they're gonna be doing in WhiWa, you have to be able to have your Liberation available off rip. Both of these tokens require you to use your Liberation immediately, and so both of these tokens kind of feel like shit unless they're on the second side, which makes the only gold token usable on the first side, and it doesn't feel like bad, is the Arrow Erosion one. And so if you don't have the Arrow Erosion team, well, you basically don't have a gold token on the first side, which I don't think that's necessarily the biggest issue ever because, well, believe me, there's plenty of very strong purple tokens you can use instead. But having only one of them not feel like shit on the first side is kind of an L. Definitely, it's a bit of an L. And I have to say, you know, as a whole, Kuro Games, I think that this was just like a mishap in deciding which buffs were going to be available when. It's just, it would be great if there were like some more general use tokens, or honestly, if this one just got changed. I don't think a lot of people like this one. I think a lot of people would prefer having resonance energies restored to 100% on both sides. That's just my personal take on it. I think at least at this point in the game, because it feels really limiting, at least design-wise, for your tokens. If they're tied to having a Resonance Liberation or casting the Resonance Liberation, it really limits the design choices you can have in your tokens because all of those ones that require, you know, something that's a part of a character's liberation to work, it's dog shit unless you're using it on the second side. This Concerto Energy one, I feel like it was an experiment that should probably be erased. And the environment buff also being critical damage for this side instead of just all damage being increased by 50%, it's not really helping that much either. I don't even know if we need to play many other teams. This WhiWa reset is like not good. I think it's bad because of the design of the tokens, but the design of the tokens themselves aren't bad. We're feeling the impact of like this unnecessary differentiation in the energy that the floors have. Because I'm gonna be real here. This feels like shit to use at a baseline, and it's only made worse by the fact that both of these tokens are essentially unusable. Or you're operating without any of the buffs from these two tokens for like the first 20 to 30 seconds of your clear. And it's just kind of goofy. I feel like a lot of people, they played this game mode to get the highest scores possible and just like push the limits of their team cons because the overall difficulty just to get the rewards isn't that high. But these two are literally not playable unless you plan on missing a buff for your entire first couple of waves. So I would say my suggestions at this point are pretty simple. Change this environment report to be a flat 50% damage increase regardless of whether or not you crit, and allow us to select the buff over here. Don't force Concerto Energy on floors. Let people choose if they want full Resonance Energy or full Concerto Energy, and just make it like a drop-down bar at this point, because we are feeling the impact, the negative outcome of this kind of like forced differentiation in the gameplay. I don't think this one feels very good anymore, and these two tokens are just an example of it, because we've already seen how this one works great in the Arrow Erosion teams, but these two, you need your liberation up ASAP to make any use out of them. Otherwise, actually a complete waste. And honestly, as a whole, I think just when it comes to the design of these gold tokens, they're kind of trash just in terms of how specific they are as well. I mentioned before that, like, you know, every single character is going to be able to use this. That is true, but it's also like not a lot of non-fusion characters are going to want to run this. And this is clearly, right, only made for teams that have a Chacona available. And then this one's only made for Cantarella teams. That's it. There's some of the most specific ones ever. And I'm going to be honest, I feel like a lot of people are not really going to be that happy with this reset. I think that at the most, Kuro should try to have at least one general attribute damage bonus token available when they're doing stuff like this. Because right now, this is basic attack, this is arrow erosion and arrow, and this is just fusion and liberation. There's not one sort of like general token that can be used, at least across like a variety of teams. Guys, if you're saying Jeja can use this, Who the fuck are you running with Jeja that's gonna benefit from basic attack damage? What, you're gonna run some shit like Jeja Camellia and just not use Jeja's outro skill? Oh, you're gonna buff Jinxie's basic attacks? Are you guys... I'm sorry. It's too specific. They need more general design. This probably has to be one of the worst WhiWa resets I've seen ever. It's not hard. Basically, we got this score of 5.48k without using any of the buffs because they were essentially disabled for our clear. We didn't even get the full points because we didn't realize just how bad these buffs actually were in practice. And the thing is, that's on top of this damage bonus only occurring on crits. It might be the worst one we've had yet. It's not hard, but it's the worst one in a while. That'll be my take on it. Hopefully my criticisms for the game mode make sense here. To sum it all up, I'd say make the tokens less restrictive, have at least one token every update that can be used across a variety of teams. That's in the gold category. Second, give us the option to choose between Resonance Energy and Concerto Energy because these two poke tokens are literally fucking useless if you're not using them on the second side. And also, make this the 50% damage increase for all types of damage instead of 60% damage increase for just critical damage because this is like an unnecessary restriction on certain builds as well. And it also makes some supports like Verena feel a lot worse than they really should. That'll be my take on that. This is the worst WhiWa reset in recent months. Peace out.